kind of a catch-up haul. From a consumer standpoint, it just pisses me off. And we'll do a little swatchy. But we were there shopping and, you know, things happen. Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Melissa, and today I'm going to be doing a collective haul. I looked back into my footage of when the last time it was that I actually published a haul on this channel, and it was mid-October. Okay, that's really far too long. So during that time, I have, continued to purchase products, but I'm not going to include everything that I've purchased since then because this video would be crazy long. So I'm kind of focusing on the things that I have purchased more recently that haven't appeared in other videos, because some of the things I have purchased have appeared in other videos from way back. It's kind of a catch-up haul. So I'm going to start with a few things I picked up at CVS. And the first thing I picked up was the Neutrogena Ultra Sheer Liquid Sunscreen that has an SPF of 70. The reason I picked this up because it has a much higher SPF. I am planning a trip to the British Virgin Islands. I wanted to make sure I had a really good sunscreen for my face. And this one was highly recommended on Paula's Choice Beautypedia page. So I thought I would give it a go. It's really liquidy and it went on beautifully under my makeup. And I say liquidy, look at that, it's really liquidy. However, I can't tell, I think it really broke me out. So I'm letting my face kind of settle, and I'm going to try it one more time and see if I still get breakouts. If I do, then I'm going to use this elsewhere on my body. You know, it'll still go to good use, but when I get breakouts in places I don't normally get them, that's a concern to me. And I don't normally get them here unless something is making me break out. And like on my neck, weird. So I had high hopes for that, maybe not so much. Next up is this Milani Prep Set and Go Transparent Face Powder. And this is a really finely milled translucent powder. And I picked it up because it is something you can use under your foundation as well as a setting powder. And I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. That might be good as the weather changes. So I've used it once under my foundation and it worked fine. I'm not sure it really helped prolong the wear of my foundation or keep me from getting terribly oily. I'll need to use it a few more times to really decide if that's something that's going to go for me. But I was inspired by my daughter, who has been experimenting with this technique where you put the powder on first, you apply the liquid foundation, and it helps you keep from getting real oily. It's a great setting powder, and the prep part, again, I've only done it once, still checking it out. Next up is the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation, and I selected the shade Nude Ivory. This has a little like spatula applicator. It's been getting quite a bit of buzz on the internet for really inexpensive drugstore foundation. And there it is blended in. So I wore this yesterday and it felt a little heavy on my skin. Now I may have applied too much. Sometimes you have to work with a foundation a couple times to really get how it applies. But I thought the color, the shade match was good. And I think it wore pretty well on my face. So I will be playing with this a little bit more. And then I also wanted to try the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless Foundation. This is for normal to oily skin, and the shade I chose was Creamy Beige. I am wearing this today. I liked the way it applied. I don't like the fact that there's no applicator. It's just an open top. I've become so used to having some kind of an applicator or a pump. So I wanted to try these because I haven't really tried too many drugstore foundations in recent months, years. Probably in the last year, I don't think I've picked up one drugstore foundation. And these two were ones that have caught my interest. This, I think, is a really good shade match for me. I feel like the coverage is pretty good. I did have to go back and put like another layer, around where I'm red here. I tried to cover this up. There's not much covering this up. and I just don't care that much to make it go away entirely. And then the last thing from CVS that I picked up was a new mascara, and it is the Maybelline Lash Sensational Full Fan Effect Mascara, and this is the waterproof version. I thought the brush on this was kind of interesting. Here's the package where you can really see what they're saying about the brush. I thought it looked a little bit more like a comb and less like a brush, but in reality, it's really a brush. It's really a plastic brush. So I don't really feel like this holds the curl very well. So it feels very soft on my lashes. Almost feels like I don't really have mascara on, even though I can see that I have mascara on, where my favorite mascara is dries a little bit harder, and I think that's why it holds the curl a little bit better. So next up, I'm going to talk about some things that I've picked up at Ulta recently, and I'm going to start off with these Revlon Color Stay Cream eyeshadows, and they don't have names on these, they just have numbers, and the lighter shade is 730 and the lavender shade is 740. I was intrigued by these because I thought they looked beautiful. Just like a little bit of shimmer in there, and they do come with a little applicator that slides into the lid, which I think is rather clever. Let's talk about the lighter color first. I find the texture of them very smooth. I don't feel like you have to dig into the pot to get them, and this is a very sheer beigey nude color. And then the lavender one. So I found that they look really pretty on the hand and like just a nice shimmer. But when I applied them to my lid, I felt like they were super glittery. But not glittery, it's the word I'm looking for. Way more shiny than they look here, and really picked up on the texture of my eyelids. And I also felt like the color came up a little bit deeper on the lid. Now, I did use the little applicator to apply it on my lid. Maybe that's why. And maybe I should just use my finger to blend it out. I still want to play with these a little bit more. I do want to say I thought that the wear time was pretty good. I had swatched them on my hand before I applied them to my lids. And when I went to bed at night, I still could see like a little residual on my hand, even though I had washed my hands a few times. So I thought the staying power was pretty good. Next up is the Tarte Shape Tape Contour Concealer, and the shade I picked up was Light Natural. So this has been the buzz all over the beauty community, and I probably wanted to buy this before the end of last year and couldn't find it anywhere in the stores, which really ticked me off that so many beauty influencers had it, were using it, raving about it, and it wasn't in the stores yet. That is such a turnoff for me. I get so frustrated by that. I understand the marketing rationale behind it, but from a consumer standpoint, it just pisses me off. So I did finally pick it up. I will say this applicator is ginormous. So I'm going to compare it to another concealer I have. This is just huge. So here is a little dab of the Shape Tape concealer, and here it is blended out a little bit. So I've used this twice, and here are my thoughts on it. It's a thick concealer, and I am wearing it today. I'll go ahead and zoom in so you can get a good look at it. So I ended up having to put a little face oil to kind of just thin it down. It's really thick, and that applicator really makes you over dispense it. My initial reaction is not worth the hype. I think there are much better concealers out there, but I don't like a ton of heavy concealing product under my eye, so I tend to like a little bit of a lighter product, especially as I've gotten older. You know, those fine lines and wrinkles, they're just begging to crease on you. So the next two things that I have picked up at Ulta, two different trips, so don't think I'm crazy because they're both eyeshadow palettes. And the first one is the Fiona Styles Artist Eyeshadow Palette. So I really wanted to try this brand because it's a relatively new brand. It's been in Ulta for a couple of months, maybe even a year, and I wanted to test it out. I have not used this yet. I have not even swatched it yet. So maybe I'll clean off my hand and we'll do a little swatchy. So the texture of these eyeshadows are really beautiful. They feel very finely milled, and I feel like they swatched pretty well. I'm not the best swatcher, so just bear with me. And I think the shades are stunning. The next palette I picked up from Ulta is the Buxom Dolly's Wild Side eyeshadow palette. That's what I'm wearing today. I think these are stunning. So on my eyes today, what did I end up doing? I think I took this lightest shade to put it under my brow bone. I used this on the mobile part of my lid, and then I used this mauvey shade for my crease. Actually, I may have used this darker color for my crease. And then I think I went in with this lighter shade back on my brow bone because I felt like it was a little too shimmery. I think the outside packaging is adorable, and I'm pretty excited about these. I'm dying to do something a little bit brighter with that. Woo! On my lid. So next up, I want to talk about some things I picked up from Sephora. I've been holding back a little bit because I know their spring sale is coming up and I want to take advantage of that. But we were there shopping and, you know, things happen. So I picked up a bunch of lip products, a couple things that I've been wanting to try. The first off are these two lip pencils from Bite Beauty. And I'm wearing the lighter shade today. I will tell you, when I took the cap off, the point was broken. They're a very soft formula. See, they come very, very pointy. I think they're beautiful. We'll see how they wear. I've just started today with the lighter shade, and over that lip pencil, I paired it with the Bare Minerals Gen Nude Matte Liquid Lip Color, and the shade is Boss. So many people rave about this formula. So here's the little doe foot. I think this is stunning, just stunning. And they had just such a great variety of nude shades available. So there's definitely a nude in there for you. I would say this is a little bit of a mauvey nude. I'm thrilled with it. Probably one of the most favorite things in this whole bunch. And while I was there, I really wanted to pick up a rollerball of the YSL Mon Prairie perfume, and they were all out, but I got a sample. They're very generous with their samples, and that'll last quite a bit. So the last thing I want to talk about is a brush set that I picked up. So I was intrigued by this design. They've been all around. Lots of beauty influencers have used these kind of paddle brushes, and they come at a bunch of different price points. This particular set was like a special deal on the Today Show when they do those special deal things. And I thought, well, it was about 30 bucks, the markdown deal. I thought I would give it a try. Honestly, I can't even tell you who is the manufacturer on this brand. Doesn't really say. If I can dig that out and figure out who the manufacturer is, I will tell you. So I picked out a bunch to try and experiment with today. I used the biggest one for applying my foundation, a slightly smaller one for the blush, and a couple of these little do guides for eyeshadow. Oops, and this one. And I think there's definitely a learning curve with this. So let's start with the foundation. You know, I applied it with this. It does a nice job. It's pretty fast, but I had trouble getting into the crevices, and I think I ended up pulling in this little brush here to kind of get in the crevices. I'm not sure how I feel about these. I thought it did a nice job for the blush, and I really disliked this for the eyeshadow. Totally disliked it. Now this little guy I used to kind of put a little like stamp of color along the outer edge and under my eyes. I liked it for that. The jury is totally out on this. I think it's a little gimmicky. I'm not sure these will find a spot on my desktop where I keep all my most used tools. I need to play around with them a little bit more. I think certainly for applying eyeshadow, I think, you end up developing skills using your regular brushes, and then when you try something new, it's a totally different feel. But I'm glad I picked them up. I'm glad I didn't spend a ton of money on them, so I can kind of play around with them, get a feel for them, and see what I think. I'm curious to know if any of you out there have tried these little paddle brushes and what you think of them. And if you have any tips for me on how best to use them, especially these little guys. So that wraps up pretty much what I've picked up between last October and now. I know there are other things that I have picked up, but I've used them in videos. I've talked about them a little bit in videos. I've definitely have talked about these, which I quite like. And actually the little lip palette, I like using this as a little like cream blush. I like that quite a bit. The formula is a little bit dry, and it works good as a cream blush. I also picked up the Anastasia Beverly Hills. I don't know why I had such a hard time saying that. The Master Palette by Mario, and I've used this a bunch of times. I can't remember whether I've talked about it in a video or not. I find it quite warm. Warm is not good, not that great on me. But the formula, oh my gosh. So I'm going to stop talking now. I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you real soon in my next video. Take care. Bye.